There's been a lot of discussion in the RLCS scene recently about a team wanting to move to a different region to compete. Now that in itself is not necessarily a problem. We've seen it plenty of times before with Turbo going to NA, Complexity, CRR, Genji, and even James Cheese going all the way to APAC. Why is this one a problem? Well, the team who wants to go and compete in another region, they want to go to Sub-Saharan Africa. And again, that in itself isn't really that big of a deal. But when you understand that SSA in general has only been in RLCS for a year and a half, they've had tons of struggles to actually get there, and they still don't even have a major spot for the RLCS. Now, this all started with a tweet from Lunar, who ends up saying that him, C-Money, and an undefined third are looking for an org to compete in SSA for the spring split. The undefined third is actually Wanda Mike, but Wanda Mike is looking in NA for some offers. He's going to see if he has some team opportunities before he decides to pack it up and go to SSA for the split. A lot of the response actually from this was very confused. Everybody's like, I'm confused. Why are you looking for an org? Is this for real? Is this real? Some clown emojis. They say, bruh, WTF. So a lot of people are extremely confused at this whole thing. And I think the biggest confusing factor about this is they say that they want to go to SSA for the spring split. They want to go for one split, which means they want to go for essentially 6 weeks. They just want to be in the region for 6 weeks. They want to do it, play there, and then pack it up and leave. So it essentially turns into a vacation, and a lot of people had a lot of criticisms with this stuff. You can see this tweet from Flitz. He says, I'm not gonna lie, this is literally insane. They can't even make worlds/major. SSA does not have majors, or SSA cannot compete in majors, so you know they obviously cannot be there, but SSA does compete in worlds, but this team will not be able to make worlds based on the points they're able to accumulate. It's impossible for them to make worlds. And so they say they're just going to SSA for a regional tag, which could be true. They're going for a regional tag, but they would also go for prize money as well. And then Lunar ends up replying, you forgot about the vacation part. We're going to be sipping on some drinks, breezing through a region for some bank. Now, he's saying that the region is pretty free, and he's going to be able to absolutely take over and get some money for it. These guys are extremely confident in themselves. They are a CRL team, by the way. And so, they're going to be playing together in CRL. They're going to be doing all that. And then they want to do this and take a vacation essentially to Cape Town and compete. While they're on vacation, they just want to go compete as well. And so they're extremely confident. Like I said, they said first regional will be an adjustment, but I'm expecting 2 regional wins, but maybe even 3. And so they got pretty confident on the timeline, and they got a lot of backlash initially. They started going back and forth, and some of the tweets were deleted, there were apologies issued, all that stuff, but I'm not trying to harp on those. This whole thing got a bunch of people talking about whether it's actually allowed. Are you even able to do this in the rules? And I've talked about this for quite a while, because with all the imports and the cross-region transfers that you have seen in RLCS already, I always point out that the ruling is actually extremely vague on this whole thing. And I've also pointed out that I do think the ruling should be changing for this. And I think this situation would be a spark that actually could get the rule to change. But if you look at the rules, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's really quick. The tournament is open to eligible players who reside in the eligibility area. Essentially, if you're in a country that is eligible and you reside there, then you're able to play. So if you look at reside, the definition of reside, yes, I actually pulled it up. It says have one's permanent home in a particular place. Now, it's not actually somebody's permanent home, but if you just look at the second definition, it just says be situated. So they would definitely be situated on vacation in a home somewhere over there. And so that's definitely, that falls under reside to me if I'm looking at that. And so they also asked admins if they were able to play in this. And they said no limitations other than you must be physically in an eligible country. So you must just be there, right? You just must be residing and must be able to pay the relevant taxes. Now, I'm not going to get into tax law with all you guys, but that is what the admin ended up saying with that. This whole thing had people asking a ton of questions. You see Danger Taco's tweet here. He says that, you can't get a major qual spot in SSA. You can't qualify for Worlds mathematically because the other teams already have more points. But if you do run a regional, you can get $2,000 per player. And he asked, would you move to SSA to be able to get $2,000 per player and a blue tag? And AJ actually makes a very good point. In NA, they're not going to make a major. They cannot qualify for Worlds in NA, but they can go to SSA and get $2,000 per player, which is more than they would make in NA. If you're just looking at the thought process of the CRL team in this example, it kind of makes sense, right? They're going on vacation and they want to be able to pay for it. They found a way using their skills to be able to pay for it. But you always got to look at the other perspective. And I have a bunch of tweets from SSA players who have been going back and forth a little bit on Twitter as well. This one specifically is from To Die For. He says, I personally would like you guys to come and see how well our region can compete with other regions, except besides waiting once a year to see how we perform at Worlds. However, 99% of the region would feel like you guys are taking their opportunity away. SSA as a region in RLCS is considered underprivileged since we barely have power. And they don't mean power as in like voting. They mean literally like power electricity. And the opportunity to play at a high level, including ranked on low ping. You guys are technically just moving from a country that never had these issues and had quality competition in abundance. So they're saying that, you guys have been able to play in RLCS since 2015. Don't think about age requirements or whatever, but RLCS has been a thing for NA since, 2016, right? And SSA has only had the opportunity in the past year and a half. And so, Snow ends up making a tweet, who is also on the same team as To Die For. He said, the disrespect some of these people are showing our region right now is pretty disgusting, not gonna lie. And Mike ends up replying, use it as motivation, prove people wrong. I'm just confident in my team at the end of the day. I may have said some out-of-pocket things, which again, he did apologize for today, I'll admit, but my overall points are valid in my opinion. And he said, you should use being able to play RLCS since its inception as motivation to actually make it in your region. Hit him with another clown emoji. Instead of wanting to compete against players who have only been able to compete for a year and a half. So they're essentially just saying that, the region itself is not as developed as the NA region, which, is completely fair. It's true. It's genuinely true. Like, the region itself has had a lot of issues, problems. It was extremely hard to get this region off the ground, essentially. And yeah, a lot that the players are moving over there to just kind of take advantage is what a lot of people are seeing from this. And Snow ends up saying, all good, bro, this is just a recent in a long line of issues SSA players have had to deal with. So SSA players in general have had to deal with a bunch of other things, a bunch of other issues. I mentioned the power thing. They literally don't have power for large portions of the day. It's called load shedding. I'm not going to get into details again, but it's called load shedding. And a lot of times, or some days, they don't have power for 7 hours for an entire day. So it's extremely hard to actually be able to scrim, play ranked, whatever. And playing ranked in general is also near impossible. So there's a pretty long back and forth on Twitter, but Mike goes on to say, we're just trying to pay for travel and living expenses, not trying to take away from the region. So, it goes both ways. This team wants to pay for their expenses while they're going on vacation. They want to play there. It's not against the rules. They've looked up a lot of stuff. They have a lot of the info. It's not against the rules. They've looked up visas, like how that whole situation works. They've essentially done their research to be able to go and do this, and they know it's completely possible to be able to do unless there's a rule change in place. It's been about a day since these tweets went out, so I ended up making a tweet myself. You know me, your boy, he can't keep his hands out of it. No, but seriously, I've been talking about this for a bit. I think there should be some sort of restriction, some sort of rule on being able to just have a whole team go to a different region to compete. I think my best thought process here, and it's extremely well thought out, but having some sort of rule, say NRG, for example, they can get one cross-region player every season. They can replace a player with a player from EU, then SAM, then SSA if they want to, whatever. Once a season, you can get that import player to come in and play for your roster. I don't think full teams should be able to move. I'm all for regional pride sort of thing. I love rooting for NA. I'm just NA biased. I'm NA fanboy. It doesn't really, it's not that big of a deal to me, right? It makes sense, right? And so, if people root for EU because they're from EU, that makes sense to me. I love the NA versus EU debate. I think it's hilarious. But regardless, I ended up making this tweet. I said, I'm going to keep it a buck with all of you. If you're mad at a team going to a developing region to compete while on vacation, it's a problem with the system, not the players. When some people saw that tweet, they thought I was talking about some big political issue and I was applying that logic to anything. I'm not. I'm talking about Rocket League specifically. I think there should be a rule change. That is my main point in this whole thing. You shouldn't be allowed to just transfer a whole team from one region to another region, and then when another team does it and goes to a different region, then it's a problem. Because it's certain regions. I understand it's not completely black and white, and that those issues do exist and they should be thought about. But if there is a rule set in place that allows for that, people are going to take advantage of it, and I don't understand how people don't get that sometimes, right? If there is a full example, a full SAM team who comes to NA, then there is going to be a full NA team that moves to SSA. It's just going to happen. And so it's understandable that people can be upset at the players, but realistically, at the end of the day, I think the rules should be changed, and that is my main point on the whole thing. Anyway, I'm going to leave you all with that. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Maybe I'm dead wrong. Maybe I'm completely right. Who knows? We all live in a Rocket League bubble, and I'll see you next time.